Be elite, not average. Average is easy. Become more explosive, more athletic, more confident. Bigger, faster, stronger programs win competitions. There is no secret sauce. Exploder Bar.
Here today with Josh Gibson of the Pleasant Grove Hawks. How you doing today, Coach?
Really good, thank you.
Now, it's a busy time of year for high school coaches as we wrap up our spring sports and head toward graduation. At the same time, you're getting to see your kids out there competing in other sports, academic competitions, getting ready for graduation. How are things going in the spring in Pleasant Grove?
They are busy, and the spring, what I've learned at Pleasant Grove is that it's extremely busy, and that's just because kids are excelling at a lot of things, which is good. We have a lot of kids involved in different activities, but I went to state a couple weeks ago with our tennis team, and golf's going next week, and we were doing regional track and had a school record number of kids advance to the district trap meet, which was or to the regional trap meet, which was awesome. We won district for the first time in school history in track, and East Texas has a lot of speed, so that was a big accomplishment. And then we took our football team to go support one act play and watch them on a weekend. And baseball team's ranked in the top 3 in state, and they're rolling right now. We got in about 11:30 last night and got in at 1 in the morning last Friday, and turn around tomorrow and go to Kilgore at 5 a.m. for 7-on-7. So it's busy, but it's really good when I think parents, teachers, coaches, and everybody know that kids are together and doing things with each other for a school and bonding and working, and instead of just hanging out and getting into mischief and things like that. So I love extracurricular activities, and I really love it when they're tied to the school to kind of get that loyalty and relational buy-in from kids with each other, with their classmates, and with the community.
Now, we are facing graduation here coming up real soon, which means you're going to be saying goodbye to some kids that you've coached for a few years. So kind of walk us through your team for the fall. Who are you losing? Who might step into those roles? Who's back? Who might play different roles on the field this fall?
Yeah, so we're in a really good position. I think I'm going to be really sad next year at this time. We have 17 starters returning, and 14 of those kids have been playing significant roles or starting since their sophomore year. So this will be their 3rd year in a starting role. We have 6 kids with Division I offers right now. For a 4A school, that's outstanding. We're the only 4A school in the state that has 3 kids in the top 100. So there's some big-time talent. When this class is gone, there's not 3 or 4 even in the next class that are Division I players. So this is kind of a special group of kids that's played a long time, that has exceptional talent, but they're also just really good human beings. And I think we start off, Akari Johnson is our quarterback, who's been recruited as an athlete. He's been offered at 5 different positions at the college level. UTSA's offered him as a quarterback. Stanford and Texas Tech has offered him as a wide receiver. Oklahoma State, Kansas State, Minnesota, Arizona State, Arkansas, several more have offered him as a safety. That's what most people see him as. But he has options. So if he wanted to play a different position, maybe he goes to Stanford and plays receiver. And Duke's offered him. And so when I say Stanford and Duke, that also tells you what type of student he is. He's a 3.9 GPA, been Citizen of the Month, chosen by the teachers in our school before, awarded that at a school board meeting. So really high on Akari, and he's one of those kids you don't get to coach, many times in your career. Another kid, when we're mentioning, those type of academic schools, is Caden McFadden, and Duke was here for the 2nd time in 2 weeks to visit him this morning before school and see him. And he's been offered in the ACC, Big 12 Big Ten at Minnesota as a safety, Texas Tech. He has a lot of offers, but he's a 3.89 GPA and just an extremely physical player. I compare him a lot to the inside backer we had 2 years ago, Nicholas Martin, who's starting at Oklahoma State at the inside backer position. Caden is a lot like him. And so you got those guys. We got a big 6'6" tackle that committed to Oklahoma State already, and Caleb Hackelman. Coach Dickey was down here this week, is just so high on Caleb. He has one of the strongest work ethics and a very, very high character kiddo that will be a blessing to coach at the next level just because of how awesome of a person he is and easy to deal with. Jalen Bordley committed to Oklahoma State a couple of weeks ago as well. They went on official visits, and so he'll be committed there to play linebacker. He jumped on the scene as a freshman and had, I guess he was newcomer of the year 2 years ago, but he's been offered by LSU, Auburn, a lot of Arkansas, a lot of SEC Big 12 schools, and he decided to commit to Oklahoma State. Lance Jackson is in the junior class. He's rated as the #1 D lineman in 2 different rankings in the 2025 class, but he's also has offers at tight end. His brother starts as a redshirt freshman at Arkansas, was in the top 7 in the SEC and sacks through half a season last year as a pup. And I will say that, Lance has a huge upside, just like Landon did, and they have good pedigree. Their parents both played Division I ball. Dad was 6'10", played basketball at A&M. Mom played Division I volleyball at McNeese. And those big Great Danes had 2 Great Danes, and those guys have had great careers, and they've been fun to coach. Jamon Wheeler picked up his first Division I offer a couple weeks ago. He's a defensive end, hybrid outside linebacker, kind of a DeMarcus Ware type guy. Extremely fast, has a big upside. Torion Phillips is another 2024 kiddo that's going to be a senior next year that's picked up some offers. And so we're excited about those guys. We have another that's going to pick up offer here pretty quick, Darrell Smith Jr., 295, 6'3.5" O lineman, and it'll be his 3rd year starting. But there's those guys all have size and ability, and we have some really good football players that I didn't get to mention that are equally talented. They just don't have the 6'5" frame. So we're returning all 5 of our offensive linemen. Most of them have started for 3 years, and returning 2 Division I running backs that I already talked about in Caden and Jalen, Akari at quarterback, Lance at H-back and tight end. Jamon will be in that mix, and then Torion at receivers, who we mentioned, but some other really, really good football players. And so I'm excited about that. And then defense is returning, kind of the same thing. We're losing a couple kids on each side of the ball, and just feel really good about this team.
All right. Well, let's talk a little bit, if I can get this to work, about some of the success you've had in the past. This is a picture from a couple of years ago. Talk a little bit about that team and just what overall the success of high school athletics mean in a community like Pleasant Grove.
Yeah. Well, that picture kind of says it all right there. I think heart and soul on the back of Logan's jersey, and then we put full tilt on the back of our black jerseys, and those are 2 of our standards. But he was a full tilt guy. The coach hugging him is a young coach that puts his heart and soul into kids, not for football, but to help them get a closer relationship with the Lord. And he has Peyton Lee in that picture. He runs a Bible study at my house every Monday night that our players come to. Baptize, I think, 6 kids in my hot tub this year. And I think that's what football's about here. It's trying to be the best in state, when we're playing those games, but more importantly, trying to build unbelievable men that the highlight of their life is not going to be a state championship, because that's not going to change their life or change their future. It's going to be an awesome experience, but we need to change their lives as men and teach them how to be other-centered and teach them how to bring joy to others and invest in others, because when they do that, they're going to get so much back. And we spend a lot of time on our culture. And you met with the kids an hour before school yesterday, and our meeting starts at 7:20, and every kid's in their seat by 7:13, 7 minutes early. And so they understand accountability. They understand that when they go into the workforce, they're going to be the first ones to show up, the hardest workers, but they're also going to be the people that folks want to be around, people that bring unity and not division, people that bring joy, like I said, to others, and people that are purpose-driven. And I think our community, well, I know our community really appreciates that. Our superintendent has invested so much for us to give our kids an elite experience, but he does it because he knows what our coaches are doing. And we have some great men and women here that lead the kiddos. And then our school board, I drove past a school board member yesterday, and he pulled up beside me and said, "Let's race." And I said, "I go slow and steady, man." And he started smiling, and he just said, "I appreciate everything you guys do for our kids." And he said, "I really mean that." And he just touched his heart a couple of times. But you know, we're not perfect. We got room to grow, and that's one of our core values is growth. So as coaches, we want to become better versions of ourselves, and we're trying to help kids become the best version of themselves, because if they do that, they're going to be amazing people.
All right. So we're going to be graduating here in a few weeks. We're going to be heading into the fall. Give us a rundown of who's in your district that's going to be playing in the fall, and what you think they're going to look like on the field.
Yeah, so I love our district, and we've had it before where there's been 4 in our district ranked in the top 20 of Dave Campbell's, and I'll back up and say in 2016 there were 5 ranked in the top 20. We were ranked 20th, and that's when we were kind of on our come up, and not even picked to make the playoffs in the top 20. A couple of those schools that are very talented dropped down to 3A with Tatum and Atlanta and Gladewater, but Pittsburgh's been ranked in the top 10. They're still with us. Coach Abram does a great job with them. You know, he went to the state championship a few years ago with Paul Pewitt. He's changing the culture there right now. He'll be in his 3rd year. Gilmer is been just a state power for the longest time through a tenure of coaches that you know have been so bought in and loyal to Gilmer, starting with Traylor and then Turner and now Coach Metzel. And you know, those guys, it's I think we're 5-5 in the last 10 meetings we've had with them. So they sharpen us a bunch and usually have that one circle that it's going to be a really good game. And I think both of us have to bring our best when we get into that setting. They're going to be really talented. They'll be a top 6 team in state again. And then after them, I said, you know, we have Pittsburgh. Longview Spring Hill has a 2nd-year coach. And North Lamar, Coach Whitaker is I think this will be his 3rd year. And both of those guys are trying to establish a culture as new coaches. And they do a really good job with their kiddos and stuff. And I think outside of that, you know, our district will kind of be similar. I think we'll have 2 of the toughest teams in our region, and our region has represented in the state championship with someone from our district, and then Carthage this last year. I think 10 of the last 11 years, and us and Gilmer have been there, you know, 6 times in the last 8 years. So it's a tough district, and it's a tough region on top of it. It's really good football and sharpens you up, and that's what you want, and that's what your fans want to see.
All right, so let's kind of go real big picture here. You've been around high school athletics for a few years. What would you say the biggest challenge facing high school athletics in Texas right now is?
Well, that's a tough question, because there's so many struggles that some people have in different regions that others don't. You know, if I'm in the Metroplex right now, where I was my first 13 years, you have you have handlers out there messing with kids, trying to get kids to go to different schools to stack teams, trainers that do that. And you have some good ones too that are out there. But I think those are big issues that coaches in the Metroplex face and talk about a lot. I think there are kids that move around a lot and stack teams through those situations. We don't face that as much out here in Pleasant Grove and in East Texas because our cities and our schools are a little bit further apart, so it's not as transient. I would say one thing that all of us are facing right now is what's going on, with the House bills that are going up in education, if they're going to support public education. And right now, I don't think public educators feel supported by our politicians, and they can't get together. I think they're fighting against each other and digging their heels in the sand, and as opposed to kind of doing what's right for teachers and kids. And teachers are very, very important, man. It's one of the most important tools that is out there to mold human beings. And when they're not supported right now by pay, I think there was an initial talk that teachers would get $11,000 to $15,000 more a year, and now it's sounding like it could be $2,000 to $3,000. And there's where I was in Frisco and then that Prosper area, you can't get a 2-bedroom townhouse for $480,000. My daughter lives there right now, 3 years out of college, and makes a good living, but $485,000 for a 2-bedroom townhouse at 6.5–7% interest rate. That young coaches and teachers can't live in those communities. And so I think that's a struggle. And I think teachers in general are going to get out of education if they're not supported more. So that's something that I think we're facing statewide, just need more support.
Very, very good. So let's go from real big picture to small picture. Let's try and learn just a little bit about Josh Gibson. What would you say your number one guilty pleasure is?
Oh man, probably. I think it's going to deal with a guilty pleasure for me. Is I love football and I love our kids, and I spend too much time with it sometimes. My wife texted me this morning and said, I really, really miss you right now. And we talked about how busy the spring is, but I love our kids and I love our coaches. And so I don't have hobbies. I don't fish. I don't golf. I never do that stuff. When I'm not doing this, I try to spend as much time with my wife as I can and my son. But this is my guilty pleasure, and I get to do it for a living. But the issue that I have, and I think a lot of coaches face, is balancing it the right way. We're not cheating kids here, but we're not cheating, our families either on time and really having a good balance. And that's something to pray about a lot and fight. But it's a good thing because either way, on both sides, just people you love and you're serving, just got to do a better job of it sometimes.
All right. Well, thanks very much for your time today, Coach. Best of luck as you wrap up the school year and head into the 23 season.
All right. I appreciate you. Thanks for having me.
Be elite, not average. Average is easy. Become more explosive, more athletic, more confident. Bigger, faster, stronger programs win competitions. There is no secret sauce. Exploder Bar.